This is the professional mirrorless camera I use to shoot my YouTube videos and take product photography shots. The body and lens together cost about $3,500. It shoots in 4K at 60 frames per second, has a full frame sensor, and is the camera of choice for hundreds of famous content creators. And this is my Pixel 10 Pro. It fits in my pocket, has access to millions of apps, and costs less than just the camera lens on the Sony. So today, I want to ask a completely insane question. In 2025, can this little phone actually replace my professional camera kit? Let's start with the Pixel's most unfair advantage. I call this round one convenience. The old saying is true, the best camera is the one you have with you, and 99% of the time, this is the one I have. It's small enough to use one-handed, weighs less than half a pound, and is completely self-contained. Everything I need to get the shot I want is right here in this tiny little thing. But the Sony? It's not even a fair fight. The Sigma lens, the camera body, and the small rig cage I use push the weight of the full kit to over 3 pounds. Carrying this thing around all day is just awful. Not only does it weigh a bunch, but it's so bulky. Of course, you can break it down so it's not so hefty, but that presents a new problem, which is assembling it when it's time to capture something. That's also a huge pain because by the time I take the parts out of my bag, remove the protective caps, snap the lens onto the body, and turn it on, the moment I was trying to capture has likely passed. Meanwhile, with the Pixel 10 Pro, I can have the phone in my pocket, pull it out, double tap the power button, and capture a photo in about 3 seconds. Literally, I timed it. So yeah, the Pixel wins the convenience round hands down. But what happens when you actually take a photo? Which device wins that? Well, let's move on to round two, which is for still photos. Given the fact that the ZV-E1 is a real camera, it seems like a given that it would be better for still photos than any smartphone, right? Well, it honestly depends on what you're going to do with that photo. If what you want is to get a picture of your dad's first ever visit to a California beach, a photo that he might treasure for the rest of his life and possibly frame to hang on his wall, then yeah, the Sony is going to be the best choice by far. It's going to capture a much higher quality photo that will look great on a screen and printed out for a picture frame. But that's not why we take photos most of the time. For example, I take photos of receipts a lot for expense reports. Do I need the ZV-E1 for that? Absolutely not. I also don't need it for the quick snap of a menu that I'm going to text to my partner to find out which coffee she wants me to grab her. I definitely don't need it for shooting a quick photo of a poster, promoting an event I might want to go to. These utilitarian pictures are things we capture every single day, and there's absolutely no need for a pro-grade camera to shoot them. But even when you're taking an important photo, the Pixel 10 Pro can still hold its own. Here are a few photos shot with the Sony and the Pixel. I used the default auto modes for each one and didn't do any edits at all. I'm not going to tell you which device took which photo because I want you to simply see them side by side and note how similar they are. I'm also not keeping them in order, so the phone shot might be on the right or it might be on the left. Who knows? People who are watching this who are pro photographers or know specifically what to look for can probably suss out the camera phone shot pretty easily. But I'm betting that 90% of the people watching this video won't be able to tell which device took which photo most of the time. Really, the only time I feel the need to use the ZV-E1 for photography is when I know I am going to be shooting something that requires it. That includes photos for work, such as these from the recent Galaxy XR launch. I've also used it for photos at life events like weddings. But in literally every other scenario, my Pixel is all I need. So what I want you to do is think about the number of times you really needed a pro-grade camera. If you think about it and you needed one a lot, then no, the Pixel 10 Pro cannot replace something like a ZV-E1. But if you think about it and feel like you only would have needed that Pro camera once or twice a year, then yeah, the Pixel 10 Pro, or pretty much any flagship smartphone out there, can replace a camera just fine. With that all being said, the final verdict for still photos needs to go to the ZV-E1, simply because it does, technically, create better images than the Pixel 10 Pro. But it's certainly not the decisive win many would have expected from this video. Just to drive this point home, remember this photo of my dad's first California beach experience? I faked you out a bit, because that was shot with a Pixel 8 Pro. If you want to find out which device took which photo in the ones I showed you earlier, there's a link down in the description for that. Also, Before I go on to the next section, I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch my channel. We've only been doing this for about 3 months now, and it's been so amazing to see all the support we've been getting. If you've liked or subscribed or posted a comment, just know that I appreciate you very much, and I thank you for being here. Let's move on to part 3 here, which is workflow. So, we've got our camera of choice, and we've used it to capture the photos we want. A lot of people tend to ignore what happens next in this process. They just say, pictures from a real camera are better than from a phone. But that's not even close to the end of the journey. Frankly, this is an area in which pretty much any smartphone will win hands down for most people. Let's say I want to take a photo, edit it, and post it to Instagram. This is something you probably do once a week or maybe even every day. With your smartphone, this can take a matter of minutes. On my Pixel 10 Pro, I timed it out. I took the shot, edited the photo in Google Photos, and posted the final edit to Instagram in less than 2 minutes. Everything happened right here on this one device. Things aren't so straightforward with the ZV-E1. Most people just starting out with a camera will take the shot and then take out the SD card and load it into a laptop. They'll use an editor to fix up the photo and then either upload it directly from the laptop or even send it back to the phone for uploading from there. With Sony cameras, there is an easier way to do this. Sony has an application cleverly called Creators app that allows you to connect your phone to your camera wirelessly. Using this, you can share files from the camera to your phone, eliminating the need to take out your SD card or even needing a laptop at all. However, there's still friction here, as you need to connect your phone to your camera and offload the images. This might be faster than going the SD card route, but it still takes longer than just using your phone for the whole process. Also, the Creators app is incredibly convoluted and not at all user-friendly, so that adds complications as well. Some other cameras might not even have a similar app, or it might be an app with a lot of caveats. The bottom line here is that no matter how you slice it, using your smartphone to create an Instagram post is going to be faster and easier than using a real camera. Where the ZV-E1 wins here though is when you've taken lots of photos. When I do product photography, I might come out with dozens or even hundreds of photos. Editing them all one by one would be tedious. Since they were all shot at the same time with the same camera in the same location, it's much easier to bulk edit them in Lightroom. I just make the tweaks I need to one of the photos and then apply those tweaks to the entire stack. Granted, I could do this with my smartphone photos too, but in that situation, the SD card is actually better. It takes much less time to remove my SD card, put it into the laptop, and start editing than it would to move all the photos from my phone to my laptop and then edit them. But you know what? This is a problem that only people in my situation need to worry about. 99% of the people watching this video will never do this. They'll have maybe a handful of photos to go through and they'll just share them in a group chat or post them to social media. But the premise of this video is whether or not the Pixel 10 Pro could replace my Sony ZV-E1. So I need to give this win to Sony. When it comes to my personal workflow for content creation, it is easier. But for everyone out there who isn't a full-time content creator, your phone is probably better. Speaking of being a content creator, we're now heading into the final category, video. If this is your first time visiting my channel, let me tell you about this video up here, which was completely shot on a Google Pixel 10 Pro. Honestly, I think it looks great for what it is. There's one shot that has me jumping in the air in slow motion that I think looks amazing, something that most people would think was filmed with a professional camera. But objectively, there's a reason that that video was a one-off thing, and for every other video, I shoot on the Sony ZV-E1. When it comes to video, no smartphone can compete with the ZV-E1. Like, it's not even a contest. The sensor in the Sony is just so much better for capturing high-resolution video. The usual smartphone trappings aren't there, like jittery panning, which annoys the hell out of me, and grainy low-light footage, which makes shooting with a smartphone at night basically impossible. Even beyond picture quality, it's just easier to make videos on something like the ZV-E1. There's an audio jack for hooking up microphones and headphones, something Pixels don't have. There are mounts for lights or shotgun mics, and a built-in 1/4-inch mount for attaching the camera to a tripod. It's easy to add things like ND filters to the lens or even swap out lenses altogether to get the shot you need. You can also finely tune the settings of your camera and shoot in log mode natively, two things that no Pixel can do, not even the latest Pixel 10 Pro. So yeah, there's no way around it. The Sony ZV-E1 absolutely destroys the Pixel 10 Pro for video. To send the point home, the A-roll for this entire video has been shot on the ZV-E1. If I had shot it on the Pixel 10 Pro instead, it would have looked like this. I mean, this isn't terrible, but it's definitely not good. Let's go back to the Sony. Alright, so the final tally is here that the Pixel wins for convenience, but the Sony wins for still photos, workflow, and video. That means the Sony camera is the winner, and there is no way my Pixel 10 Pro could replace it. While you probably expected this outcome, I hope this video helps people who aren't content creators understand just how powerful your smartphone is. Sure, it's not going to replace a professional camera when it comes to video, but it can hold its own for still photos and is easier to use for 99% of the situations you will find yourself in throughout any given week. Yes, the Sony is better at what it does, but that doesn't mean it's always the best tool for the job. Anyway, I want to know what you think. Do you often use a pro-level camera for things? In which situations do you find that you use your real camera over your phone? Let me know down in the comments. Before you go, if you want to make the most of your Pixel when it comes to shooting photos, check out this video here, where I give you tons of tips on how to up your smartphone photography game. Also, it would mean a lot to me if you liked and subscribed to my channel. I'll see you all down in the comments.